Hello and welcome to the show. Today we have a video from Atosi.
It's not every day you wake up and you see influencer facing by firing squad in 2026. So obviously, I wanted to know everything about this case and how we even landed here. Because apparently she thought that she found the perfect online romance, and instead, just weeks after landing in Dubai, her boyfriend had his life taken, she was sitting in jail charged with that crime, and she was claiming that she acted in self-defense. Now she's facing one of the toughest legal systems in the world. So let's break down what exactly happened. When I first saw the headlines, I assumed this was going to be like another straightforward influencer crime story, but the more I looked into this case, the less straightforward it became, because right now there are two very different stories being told. On one side, you have the prosecutors in Dubai who've charged the 23-year-old British influencer, Brooke George, with premeditated after her boyfriend, William Treby, had his life taken away. If she's convicted, she's facing the ultimate consequences under the UAE law. And on the other side, you have Brooke, her family, and the advocacy group representing her. And they say this was not premeditated at all. They say that she was trying to survive an abusive attack and acted in self-defense. And the difficult part here is, at least publicly, we haven't heard much from investigators beyond the charge itself. Most of the detailed timeline that's been reported so far comes from Brooke's family and the organization assisting her, while UAE authorities haven't publicly laid out why they believe the crime was premeditated.
So here we have the story. It's a crazy story. I haven't watched this story yet, so I'm watching it for the first time. And it is crazy. I think first when I saw the headline, I was thinking, maybe TikTok here, no, and she did something crazy in foreign country, and she should not have done that. But it looks more straightforward, but reminding everybody, asking yourself if you are in an abusive relationship, why are you in that relationship? Stuff can end bad. Well, I don't know the full story yet, but let's see if we're going to find out.
The advocacy group is called Detained in Dubai, and they say their mission is to help foreigners in the UAE legal system and to campaign for fair treatment. So they obviously think that Brooke is not getting fair treatment. And throughout this video, I'm going to be very careful to, separate what's being confirmed and what's being alleged. So with all that out of the way, let's start from the beginning. So you have Brooke George, who's a 23-year-old from Gravesend, Kent, who built a following on TikTok and Instagram by posting lifestyle content, travel photos, and snapshots of, I guess, what looked like a pretty normal life. Before that, she reportedly worked at John Lewis, and from the outside, nothing really seemed like she'd find herself at the center of an international criminal case. But earlier this year, she met 26-year-old William Treby online, and according to multiple reports, the two connected through Facebook, quickly started talking, and before long, what began as an online relationship turned into plans to see each other in person. Treby had been living and working in Dubai, and Brooke eventually flew out to visit him.
Her daughter, Brooke, she's only 23, she's very naive. She met this guy on Facebook dating. She went over to Dubai. It was, from her point of view, it's a whirlwind romance. He's taken her to all the high-end luxury restaurants, taken her to the beach clubs. He arranges for her to have this modelling photo shoot on the beach. She's very proud and happy about all this. Goes back home, tells mum, look, I've met a guy who this could be a man I could spend my future with.
So this looks a very classic story. Rich guy invites white lady from the Europe to visit him in Dubai, and yeah, stuff go wrong, probably because of different culture. The lady wasn't ready for it, was bringing a little bit of the Western mindset, and things went really bad, obviously, because one life is lost and another life is about to be lost, which is tragic. I don't want this to happen to anybody. If it was self-defense, she doesn't deserve the firing squad. 100% she does not deserve it. But yeah, again, we don't know the full story yet. Let's see how it continues.
And according to her account, that first trip went really well. She later described it as the time of my life. And I guess between the beaches and the luxury places, it kind of looked like the typical honeymoon phase for an influencer couple. But I guess according to Brooke and her family, that feeling didn't last too long. So the problems didn't really begin until she returned to Dubai for the second visit.
He flies her out again to Dubai, but according to her account, the the experience she has is very, very different. She's left alone in an apartment for a lot of the time. There are other people in the apartment. When they do go out, they're accompanied by this other chap.
So she says that William acted completely different from the man that she'd gotten to know during the first trip. And through statements released to the advocacy group detained in Dubai, Brooke alleges that he became controlling and abusive, and that little things started making her feel like something was not right whatsoever. So, one of the biggest red flags was apparently discovering that he'd only booked her a one-way ticket to Dubai. Uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Brooke's family also claims that she realized that he had her passport, making it way harder for her to just simply leave and fly home whenever she wanted. And again, these are allegations that haven't been proven in court, but they're central to Brooke's account of what happened next. So her mother says that she noticed a change almost immediately. During Brooke's first visit, she sounded excited and happy whenever they spoke, but on the second trip, those phone calls became very different. According to her mother, Brooke was quieter than usual and seemed very anxious. She also said that her daughter kept insisting that everything was fine, but she could tell something had changed. Then came a phone call that, looking back, has become one of the most important parts of the family's story. So her mother says that Brooke was crying uncontrollably. She sounded terrified and repeatedly said that she wanted to come home. She also says that she could see one of Brooke's eyes was swollen and beginning to close. And around the same time, Detained in Dubai said Brooke had started telling friends that things weren't right and that she needed to get out of Dubai. So the organization also said that Brooke became concerned that she had been lured there under false pretenses, though there's been no public evidence released by investigators supporting this claim. So I mean, regardless of whatever was happening behind closed doors, it's clear that, at least at this point, the relationship Brooke had described as the time of her life was, at least according to her account, pretty much over.
Yeah, this is the side the only fans girls don't understand what they are advertising. That if you make those trips, all the boat trips, all the Dubai trips, all the France, Paris, whatever trips that the guys is paying, you never know what type of guy is actually buying you those tickets. You never know. And they're putting their own life in risk like this. This has been all the time crazy to me. Plus it makes them delulu, but this is not, in this case, important at all, because young people's lives are ruined. One is ended, and it sucks. It's a really bad situation to be in, but this is where all those young influencers, I'm so going to say it in air quotes, going to put themselves in daily basis. This is what you wanted. This is the danger you're putting yourself into it, and this is what we have been trying to warn you about every single time, because you don't know what the guy is, who the guy is, and what he's going to do. This is a really, really bad situation though.
And now she wanted to escape. Then came the night that changed both of their lives forever. So the two went out together the evening to McCafferty's Bar in Jumeirah Village. Brooke alleges that after William had been drinking, an argument broke out and he became violent on the drive back to the apartment. Brooke claims that the assault continued once they got home. And at some point, she says that she decided she needed to leave Dubai altogether. And Brooke managed to arrange a flight back to London with the help of her friends. But there was one major problem. She still needed her passport. They say that she returned to the apartment to collect it, believing that she could just grab her stuff and head straight to the airport. But what happened next is obviously the main part of this entire case, because Brooke says that she was crying, begging for a passport to be returned, when William allegedly attacked her again. She claims that she was punched repeatedly, feared for her life, and reached for a kitchen knife that was within arm's reach. And William then lost his life after being stabbed. But the question is, why? Brooke says she acted in self-defense because she believed that she was in danger. Dubai prosecutors, however, have charged her with premeditated, and that's where this case becomes very difficult to look at. Publicly, authorities haven't really explained what evidence led to them to conclude the crime was premeditated. They haven't released a detailed account of the incident or laid out the theory behind the charge, and they're also pursuing one of the most serious criminal charges possible under UAE law.
How it sounds like? It sounds very unlikely it was premeditated, because the guy was paying for the tickets. The guy was inviting. How could you plan for something like that? It doesn't make that much sense, right? Or is he like a criminal mastermind, like super genius? doing TikTok? I don't think so. It doesn't sound very plausible, right?
After the crime, Brooke made her way to the Dubai International Airport to board a flight back to London that had been arranged with the help of her friends. But she never got on that plane. In the early hours of June 22nd, she was stopped by authorities and arrested. Before long, she was formally charged with premeditated and taken into custody. Brooke's family says that when she was arrested, she still had visible injuries from what they claim happened earlier that night.
Things are very, very different over there. According to the family, and there's this the organisation detained in Dubai, she hasn't had access to a lawyer. She's been asked to sign things in Arabic that she doesn't understand. Even in her battered and bruised state, she was strip searched in a room only by men. Some of them are filming this protest. So it's not the standard of justice in the process that you'd get over here.
And these allegations have not been publicly addressed by the UAE authorities, or the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office has only said that it's assisting a British woman detained in the UAE, supporting her family and communicating with local authorities. And as news of this case spread, people online quickly picked a side. Some looked at the headline, a young influencer accused of stabbing her boyfriend, and assumed the case was open and shut. But I don't think this case is that straightforward, because once you look into this, it's a way bigger mess than what I guess the influencer headline seems like, which is why I wanted to cover the story. Because obviously you have to consider Brooke's injuries, her family's account, and the allegations of abuse. The argument on that side is that the investigators should be treating her as a possible victim of domestic violence rather than assuming that she was the aggressor here. The problem is that the public still doesn't have very many answers that would normally help make sense of a case like this. Like, we haven't seen any evidence other than Brooke's side of the story. And honestly, without that, it's hard to really understand how investigators came to this conclusion. As journalists started digging into both Brooke's and Williams' backgrounds, more information about William started coming out. So according to reports in the UK, the 26-year-old had previously been convicted in 2023 of wounding and common assault. And he also got a suspended prison sentence for that. He was also reportedly due to stand trial next year as one of the several people charged following a Kent police investigation into conspiracy to supply, contraband, some of that white powder and the leaf. Obviously, I want to be careful here because this is important. None of that really tells us what happened inside that apartment in Dubai. Obviously, just having a criminal record doesn't mean that someone automatically was the aggressor here, but also at the same time, it's also a part of the public record. And it's one of the reasons some people argued that Brooke's allegations deserve to be investigated rather than just simply dismissed.
Yeah, I agree here because the story sounds too fishy, and probably there's some truth to it by minimum. Most likely very much truth, so because the guy already has a record, and it's crazy. This influencer life, that's why I don't want to show my face on this channel, because I am not doing this to be famous. I'm not doing this to earn some kind of street credit or any of that stuff. I just want to learn English and just to watch those videos, and since I'm watching them anyway, so why not learn English in the same time or practice English? Anyway, the story sounds so crazy, and in the same time you have to remember it's UAE laws, which are completely different than any of the laws everywhere else, and the guys are given actually more benefit of the doubt. But also, that reminds me that you should have home security surveillance. And if the guy is so rich that he can just pay a random lady from TikTok, come visit me, I will take you the photo shoots, blah blah blah, take this restaurant, he has money, there has to be a home surveillance system, right? Doesn't make any sense there's not. There has to be proof of any of this.
And obviously, William's family are also dealing with a tragedy of their own. His sister wrote that he wasn't just her brother, but also her best friend. His mother said that she was broken and promised that her family would keep his memory alive. This is all just an important reminder that regardless of how this case ends, one dude lost his life, and another woman is now sitting in a Dubai jail awaiting trial with the worst possible punishment hanging over her head. And now this case moves into a new phase where the courts, not social media, will have to decide which version of events is supported by the evidence. And this is currently where we're stuck, because Brooke, she's a 23-year-old British woman who's now found herself stuck in the UAE with the worst possible charge. If she's ultimately convicted of this charge, reports say that she could face death penalty by firing squad. That's crazy and absolutely not something you hear every day. Obviously, that's worst case scenario, but you know, regardless of what she gets, she's still potentially facing the rest of her life in jail. And she's currently claiming self-defense. She's 23 years old, she's thousands of miles from home, and her entire future now depends on what a court decides happened during a matter of minutes inside of one apartment. So whether you believe Brooke's version of events or think the prosecutors have evidence the public haven't seen yet, I think everyone can agree that this is an awful situation to be in. And this is why I think this case deserves to be looked at very carefully instead of reduced to just a headline, which is, again, why I wanted to cover this video. Because, again, the headline is just so shocking. Currently, Brooke is still in custody in Dubai. According to her family, they're raising money for legal costs while trying to get a good representation in the UAE, and the British government has confirmed that it's in contact with local authorities and is providing support to Brooke. If this case does go to trial, the court will have to answer the question that everyone online has already been arguing about. Was this deliberate, or was this an act of self-defense? Right now, we have no idea to know. You do have to be a special kind of stupid, though, to travel to the UAE and commit premeditated though. But again, currently, we're only sitting with Brooke's side of the story. But obviously, as more evidence comes out, the picture could easily change. There may be witness statements, forensic evidence, phone records, or even surveillance footage. But for now, Brooke is still saying that she acted in self-defense, and prosecutors maintain that she committed premeditated. And I guess, again, until more information is made public, that's really where this case stands. So hey, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Anyway, he summed it up really, really nicely. Basically, all the points I was pointing out earlier, and yeah, this is the story. It is a crazy story. From the headline, I'm going to leave it the way I saw it, because then you can see what I mean. And from the headline, I was thinking it's a completely different story. This story deserves more attention. The more we make videos about this, the more attention it gets, and more, how to say in English, more honest trial it's going to be. Because if you push it under the rug, it's going to be unnoticed and they can do whatever they want. Sadly, all law systems have their own mechanics and can be tricked and can be deceived, and it is crazy. Anyway guys, this was the video for today, and I hope you liked my commentary to it, my reaction to it, to all the YouTube things, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye bye.